Today I have with me Amber Fuhriman. Amber Fuhriman is an attorney, author, speaker, success architect, and if that weren't enough, she's also a podcaster as well, just like me. She's the owner and attorney at Fuhriman Law in Las Vegas, Nevada. Amber practices criminal defense, and which hopefully I won't need anytime soon, and immigration law, which I do have people that immigrate on here with a E2 and EB5 visas. So that's a good one to know. She graduated from law school in Michigan and immediately moved to Las Vegas to begin her career. Amber, you just recently released a book as well.
I did, yeah. August of last year, we released the first book.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to the conversation.
You got it. So that book was really interesting to me. This is your first book that you've released on that. So I was going to start with something else, but let's start with your book since it just was released. What inspired you to start the book and write the book and what's it all about?
Yeah, so
Of
the book
course.
is called Break Your Bullshit Box.
Hmm.
So break your bullshit box, eliminate your excuses, empower your journey, and earn your results. And for me, I think like most people, you see authors or somebody that's accomplished something that you look at and say, "Oh wow, I could never do that," and you think that's for them, right? So I grew up reading. Reading has such a special place in my life. My dad and I used to read separate books. I was a John Grisham fan. He was a Clive Cussler fan. And I would read a book. He would read a book. We would swap. We would talk about it. I was that nerd that was doing book reports on John Grisham books in the fifth grade, making everybody else look bad, right? So when I started thinking about wanting to put myself out there, I thought it'd be really cool to write a book. And I get asked all the time, how long did it take you to write the book? And I always say, well, write it like 3 months, but 6 years of thinking about writing it before I actually started writing it, right? So when I started to put pen to paper, I realized that this journey of holding yourself back and tying your identity to a particular profession and or to relationships or to anything external of yourself, and then the crash that happens on the other side of that and rebuilding yourself was something that more people than I realized went through. And I wanted to share my story with that so that people could shortcut their rebounds from whatever they were crashing from.
Excellent. So a mere 6 years is all it took you to write the book there. Think
Year
about
and 6 years. Yeah, that was it. You know, that overnight success that we see in the music industry that takes 24 years and then one good release moment, that's what it was like.
it. Yeah. Well, I'm with you on that. I spent 10 years in my industry, 10, 12 years before I wrote a book. And my first book was a couple years ago, but it did take about 10 years of building up all the questions that people were always asking, just like you, all the experiences and putting them down.
I love that. And I know that we share, because we were just talking about it before we started recording. I know that we share a love of four-legged furry animals and our puppies and dogs. And so the second book is actually in production right now, and it is from my dog's perspective on how to embrace play, purpose, and perspective.
Definitely. The first one I'll get. The second one is a must-have, definitely for me.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
We're just talking about who do we complain to around here, and I showed her one of my dogs, and she's got her own dog that is the complaint department in her business on that one.
Yes,
So let's talk about your business now. You started your own company. So
I did.
what was the inspiration behind it, and what are the main services that it offers?
So, when my first company that I started was my law firm, and that was started out of a what do you have to lose mentality. I was unhappy in the legal profession. I was actually considering not being an attorney anymore. And somebody looked at me and said, I don't think it's an attorney that you don't like. I think that it's working for somebody else and somebody else controlling your schedule. And I was like, I don't know if that's true. And they asked me that question, what do you have to lose? If you're going to blow up everything you've worked so hard for, what's the difference between doing it now and doing it 3 months from now? And they were right. The opening of my law firm was something I needed because it was my first business and I made incredible mistakes in it. And it set me up for the second business that I opened, which is the one that I'm in now. Success Development Solutions was opened in 2019. I really started treating it like a business in 2021. And it came to fruition because I saw so many people who, like myself, had created this version of themselves that would just automatically be happier when they got what they wanted. We see it in relationships, we see it in careers, we see it with so many things. It could be money, it could be a career, it could be a relationship, but you think once I have X, then everything's going to be better. And I got everything I wanted. And that's actually what led to my crash. I got the six-figure income, I got the law degree. And when I achieved it and nothing changed in how I felt about myself, I really, really struggled. So in rebuilding myself, I learned how to teach other people how to rebuild themselves as well. So half of my clients are in the pit of hell stage where they're trying to figure out why all the hard work that they've put in hasn't created the results they've wanted. And the other half of my clients want to make more money, want to get more time, want to experience the freedom that they thought that they were working so hard to achieve. Both of those are on different ends of the same problem spectrum.
That's a valid point. Yep, I went to college, got my degree in electrical engineering and physics, became a engineer, and thought life is beautiful. This is perfect. And so here I am, no longer an electrical engineer, no longer not working on microcircuits, because like you, I realized that nope, that wasn't it. We got to find something else.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and that's what you do in your business. Then, is you take those people through that so that they can realize and define their own success with that.
Yeah, so my clients are normally either service providers, real estate agents, attorneys, doctors, people that have put a significant amount of time into building their business, building their reputation in an industry, and they have their entire identity tied up into that. Going to law school, my romantic relationship in law school was a casualty of law school, like so many others are, because when you're in law school, you don't have the ability or the capacity to focus on anything else. And when I started dating on the other end of law school, people would ask me, what do you like to do in your spare time? And it was that question that irritated me so much because I didn't know how to acknowledge that I didn't have spare time, that I didn't know what I liked to do. I could tell you what I used to like to do before I went to law school, but I couldn't tell you what I liked to do now. And then you graduate from law school, and now your bar is your next focus. So then you're taking the bar exam, then you're admitted to the bar, and now you got to build a reputation and you got to build a career. And there became a point about 4 years into practicing for me that I didn't have another benchmark. I didn't have anything else to focus on. And I was just living life every single day, and it was miserable. And so, what else was I supposed to focus on? And that's when I realized that I had completely ignored me, that I completely ignored living life, thinking that it was going to fall into place when I had everything else.
Yeah, we do kind of assume that along the way there. Once I get here, then everything else is going to be peaches and cream. Now, realizing that some of those jobs you've chosen for yourselves, there's 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, and maybe occasionally on weekends. So, what is free time? I like to watch a show on the hour that I have before between work and before I go to bed, which is crazy. So, Amber, take me through when a client, somebody, one of your clients comes to you and starts with you. Take me through the process of what you are going to take them through.
Yeah, so the first thing that I have to determine when I'm working with a client or when I'm consulting with a client is figuring out where they are in the spectrum. Have they realized that they want more of are they coming to me for more of a work-life harmony conversation because they have the professional success and it's not enough? Or are they coming to me because they kind of have a little bit of balance, they've got their family, they're good to go, and now they want to focus on their business? Either way, whatever that answer is, we're going to approach things with the same concepts. They're just going to be packaged differently. So I start every conversation with a client by giving them a tool that's called the life wheel. And that shows kind of where everybody's at in each area of their life. So for those that are listening, if you maybe haven't experienced this before, it looks like a Trivial Pursuit piece, and it's got 8 different areas that make up who we are as human beings: our spirituality, our health, our career, our money, our relationships, our entertainment, our knowledge, and the areas that really make up who we are. And we ask people to rank themselves from a 0 to a 10 in each one of those areas, and then connect those dots around the circle so that they can see the potholes that they're hitting. Because almost everybody that comes to me will say a phrase like, as soon as I get my business off the ground, I feel like my family falls apart. Or if I focus on my family, I feel like my business falls apart. And so we get to realize it's not, it's great if we're talking about goal setting for someone to say, January, I'm going to focus on my business. February, I'm going to focus on my health. March, I'm going to focus on money. But that doesn't always work because we don't get to control when things pop into our life and need attention.
Yep.
So instead, we take it from a what's the holistic version of you that you want to create? And how can we give a certain amount of attention to all of those areas in an intentional way so that you can create the life that you want, and instead of having a business that takes life from you?
Makes a lot of sense. That's good. How many people have you worked with at this point in time?
So we have, God, I probably have 85 clients that have gone through my trainings,
Awesome.
in person or virtually, and we're continuing to grow every day.
That's good. Now, you do this yourself, or you have a team of people that are helping you out there?
So I'm the only coach that's in my business for my trainings. So if you guys are familiar at all with neuro linguistics programming, also known as NLP, so I do NLP certification trainings in Las Vegas, which is really the science behind what it is that how you were programmed as a kid, what your relationship was like with business ownership and money and
Oh,
relationships, and how that impacts the way that you show up as an adult and how we can shift that for you. When I created that part of my business, I had 2 choices. And I think this is something that you'll resonate with where you've made your impact is I could either build a program from scratch or I could license somebody else's program that had been going for 25 years. It seems really stupid to recreate the wheel when something has worked for somebody for 25 years. So instead of creating a program where I would get 100% of something that I was building from scratch, I entered into a licensing agreement with somebody for that part of my business to be able to use their trainings. And it's been incredibly successful.
that is good. You're absolutely right. There's absolutely no reason to reinvent the wheel when somebody else has got something out there. You put your personal touch on it, which
Yep.
yeah, and that makes all the difference.
There's a really good book if the people that are listening to the podcast are readers. I know one of the things that I suffered from when I was first getting out into this industry was the idea of imposter syndrome. The thought that every time you think about something, about doing something, you can picture somebody else who's done it better or somebody else who might be able to do it better. And who am I for people to listen to be able to learn from? And there's a really good book called Steal Like an Artist. And it was written for the art industry, but it ties in this idea that there is no original thought anymore. By the time you've thought of something, it's been thought of a million times. It is who you are and your life experiences and your spin on it that makes it yours. And in the book, he actually looks at modern day art and will trace it all the way back to the 1600s. And he'll say, this person thought they were being completely new, but look, this was done back in 1620. And so it's different because it's theirs. But we get to realize that just because somebody else has already done something similar doesn't make our attempt at it any less valid or valuable.
I agree completely on that one, Amber. My book publisher told me when I was saying that, I wanted to write a book on franchising, but there's so many books on franchising. He said, yeah, but nobody's written it from your point of view.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what it really comes down to is nobody can be you better than you, right? And I don't believe in competition because people, not everybody's going to resonate with me. I am a very, like, my book's called Break Your Bullshit Box, for God's sake. I'm not soft. I am not, I am not I can be soft, but I'm not the coach for the person that lives in the feelings of, the life area. I work with people who want to see results in their business and want to see results in their life. Now, there are people who love life coaching that might use some of the same tools that I use. They're going to attract people that are completely different than I attract. So to me, I don't think that there is really this competition concept. I think if we're stepping in and being who we are and adding our spin on it, the people that we are meant to help will find us.
I agree on that one completely there, Amber. One of the things that I tell people about what my book does for me, which is exactly what you were just saying, is that it filters out anybody who is reading that book and saying, this guy's an idiot. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go. It's like those guys are gone, or girls, or whoever. They're gone. I only get the people who said, oh, that resonates with me. Yeah, I like this person.
Well, and I used to be so afraid of that conversation. I used to be so afraid of the you're an idiot conversation. And I would think, what if somebody thinks I'm dumb for this? What if somebody thinks I'm egotistical or they don't resonate with what I'm saying? And I had a coach once tell me that the worst place that somebody can be is liking you. That if somebody loves you, then they're all in on what you want. If somebody hates you, then they're all out on what you want. The worst place for somebody to be is in liking you, because then it's like this lukewarm where they don't really need you, but they're okay having you around. And how much energy are we putting into those people that could take us or leave us? And that no that we hear that I used to be so afraid to hear, that no that we hear is the best gift that somebody can give us, because we can now take that energy and we can put it towards somebody that we're actually meant to help.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. That is perfect on that. So if people want to take control of their life, we're talking about controlling your lives, making it in the direction you want. What is the one thing people can do right now that can just take control of their life?
Yeah, so that life wheel is an incredible place to start. And for that reason, I've put together a free blueprint for people who want to start to define success. So they can go to blueprint.successdevelopmentsolutions.com and they can download a free workbook that will walk them through the life wheel exercise, help them create and craft a definition of success, and then give them an introductory overview to goal setting with the approach of harmony in mind. So that's really an incredible place to start from a practical standpoint. From a mindset standpoint, there is this need, in order for us to make an improvement in our life, we have to be willing to acknowledge that there is a problem and that there is a problem that we contributed to. So taking 100% responsibility for what's going on in your life, not fault. That's not what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that happen to people that are not their fault. But people end up in this place where they say, well, this happened to me, so I have to live in this because it happened to me. And the moment that we realize that it is our responsibility to decide how it is we're going to handle the things that have happened, and the moment that we realize that the things in our life happened for us and not to us, and that we learned something from every single one of them, we can start to move forward. So, starting to ask ourselves, what about this situation was about me? How did I contribute to it? And how can I create a different outcome from it the next time that I'm in it, is an imperative place to start if we're going to create success.
Well put. Well put, Amber. I like that. So, how about you personally? What does success mean to you?
So it's interesting that you ask, because I have multiple definitions like most people do. For me, I have a macro definition of success and then I have a micro definition of success. So the big definition for me is waking up and knowing that I am in 100% control of my schedule every single day. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have to be somewhere that I wish I wouldn't be. It's that I understand that every place that I am during a day, I have made a choice to be. Um, there's a lot of conversation in the personal development world about the need to sacrifice, and I don't resonate with that word anymore. I used to, but to me, when we think about sacrifice, it is so negative. It's so demeaning. If you want to have something, you've got to sacrifice something else. Well, why would I ever sacrifice something that I want? It's so hard to say, I am going to sacrifice something that I want. If we shift that to, I made a choice to prioritize something in my life instead of something else because it was more important to me, then that's not a sacrifice, that's a choice. So success to me is knowing that every single day, the places that I have put myself in are choices that I have intentionally made and that they are moving me closer to being able to live life on my terms every single day. And then I have a planner that I created that is quarterly. And every single day it has an agenda for every day. And on the right hand side of that agenda, the very first question that gets asked every day is today will be a success if. And then at the end of my day, at the bottom, as part of my evening routine, I fill out the question today was a success because. So if I focus on every single day being a success, it moves me closer to my life being a success.
That's amazing. Never thought of it that way. That's a good point, though. Definitely way to get started in the morning. So, been successful. So, what has the role of being uncomfortable played in
Mhm.
your success?
So, first of all, I attribute almost everything that I have today to my willingness to be uncomfortable, and it's not what people think. So, I'm going to back up just a little bit in my story to when I was an attorney. I thought that happiness and fulfillment was going to be that six-figure income and that law degree.
Yeah.
2015, the end of 2015, W-2 years close out. We get our W-2s January of 2016. I open it up and I see that six-figure income. And I think, holy cow, I made it. And I waited for life to get better. And my first panic attack and anxiety attack was in March of
Oh,
2016 because I didn't know how to function in a world where a six-figure income and a law degree didn't equal success. I had put my head down and I had worked so hard to achieve this outcome that was supposed to create a certain result. And it didn't create that result. And my brain was trying to reconcile how that could be a thing. Like I lost all faith in my ability to make decisions. I lost all faith in my ability to know what outcome was going to be created by my actions because I thought that I was doing the right thing my entire life. While I was in that breakdown, a friend of mine invited me to go work out in the park with him. And I was intrigued by that because physical fitness wasn't a part of what I had created in my life. And I didn't realize it at the time, but saying yes to going out and working out in the park gave me the ability to start to build something in my life that wasn't a part of the equation of what had already let me down, which was all professional and career. That workout in the park in April of 2016 turned into my first obstacle course race in October of 2016. By November of 2017, I had run 20 obstacle course races, and my last obstacle course race in November of 2017 was a 24-hour endurance race that I ran in the Las Vegas desert. It was during that journey that I opened my first business
oh,
because I had just spent, I mean, you got to go back to the person that thought, I can't work out in the park. Like, I can't do squats. I can't do burpees. I can't walk. Like, I did zero exercise. It just wasn't a part of my everyday life. I remember my first obstacle course race was a 5K, and I thought I was going to die. So to go from a 5K towards October of 2016 to a 30-mile, 24-hour race in a year and a half, every event I entered, I did something that I couldn't do the last time. And it gave me this physical, tangible result to be able to ask myself if I was holding myself back this much in physical fitness, then what else am I telling myself I can't do? And during that journey is when I decided to open my first business. There's a, you guys already know I'm a reader. So there's another book that's fantastic by Jen Sincero called You Are a Badass. And it changed the way that I think about comfort zones.
Ah,
I had been talking about comfort zones as a speaker and a podcaster for years when I read this book for the first time. And it was still this non definable concept to me. And in her book, she has a quote that says, "The walls of my comfort zone are lovingly decorated with a lifetime of my favorite excuses." And it was the first time that I saw a comfort zone as like this room that I live in with furniture and decorations. And I get to decide what it looks like and feels like. And then there's this door that you get to walk out where there's this whole life outside of your comfort zone, but nobody can come get you. There's people waiting for you on the other side of it,
ah.
but nobody can come get you and drag you out of it. But the moment you walk out, you realize, oh, this is a possibility. I have been holding myself back. So finding a way to push yourself and get uncomfortable and do it in a tangible way. It's why I'm such a proponent of physical fitness in relationship to business and personal success.
Awesome story. Definitely. Well, now we have one another thing in common other than the dogs. I used to be a cross country runner in my past days.
Okay.
So not quite as much as what you did. I think we did maybe a 10K once in San Francisco on the Beta Breakers marathon, but yeah, a little bit there. So that's cool. Yep.
That's almost worse, though. It's so funny because my friends keep asking me to run a marathon, and I'm like, I am not running a marathon with you. And they're like, but you did 30 miles at World's Toughest Mudder, and you did it with an obstacle every, tenth of a
Yeah.
mile. So, and I said, the obstacles is what made running possible for me because I got to stop every tenth of a mile and do an obstacle. I hate running. I hate it. So, but then again, like, that is life, right? So you have the person that says, um, I don't like doing sales calls, for example. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to do it. But then if we can find something that breaks up the monotony of that, that gives us a reward in the middle of it to where we can make our brain say, oh, like maybe every time I make 5 sales calls, I get to go for a walk with my dog. Or every time I make 5 sales calls, I get to go have, around, I'm a huge sports fan. So around a golf, or I get to go to a baseball game, or we get to reward ourselves along the way in a way that makes it manageable pieces instead of just saying you got 100 sales calls you got to make today and your success depends on it. So that's kind of what I do with coaching is finding ways to help people reframe the way that they look at issues so that they can find ways to fit it into what they think they're capable of.
Yeah, make it more interesting, more exciting since you don't like just running straight out, flat out for 10 miles as it's kind of slow and boring. Now you got a little thing in between. So you run for a little while, and then, oh, we're going to do this. Or you make the sales calls, oh, and then we're going to do this. So
Yeah.
I love it. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And going back to the dogs, I'll work for an hour and a half, and then my dogs will say, dude, walk time, time to go. So I can't make any more calls or do anything because they're right there wandering around making noise.
They are slave drivers, right? Dogs are like, you will give me your attention and you will do it now.
Yep. Yep. Good way to put that. So what's the one question I should have asked you, but I haven't asked you at this point in time?
Ooh, interesting. Um, I have never been asked that before. I love this. I'm gonna say we've talked about a lot today. Um, I'm gonna say I'm a huge proponent of music. And so, um, pump up songs. My favorite pump up song. We'll go with that.
There you
And it
go.
might
Yeah.
seem surface level, but to me, it's not. So if you think about, for anybody who's sports fans, if you watch baseball, they play a walkout song every time they go out
Oh,
to bat. And it's the same one for the player picks their walkout song.
wow.
Speakers, if you go to a conference, they play a walkout song when they come out to talk at a conference. We get to those are not picked by accident. They're picked because that song elicits a very intentional feeling in that person that puts them in the mindset that they need to be in to accomplish the task at hand. And so my playlist of I don't like waking up in the morning to loud noises, so I don't have an alarm clock. I have an Alexa that plays music to wake me up at a particular time. And that playlist of songs is intentionally chosen that no matter which one my Alexa chooses, it's going to put myself set up for the day. So all of my pump up songs are on that playlist.
That is too cool. Good something to think about. That alarm can be very annoying, but something that's not so annoying.
Yes.
You feel better about getting up in the morning then.
Yes.
That is too cool. Uh, where can they find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, the best way is to go to my website at successdevelopmentsolutions.com. There, you'll be able to find information for any of the podcasts, the programs. If you're interested in, we have a 12-week course. If you're interested in that, you can find information there. I'm also on all the socials, so you can get the links there for TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff.
You
And
still
of course, the book. You can get
yeah,
the link for the book there.
book two. We'll get that in there. Do you still have that Facebook group?
I do. It's not real active right now. I'm working on deciding, I've got to bring it back to life. So, I do still have it. I am at a crossroads with deciding where I'm going to go with it right now.
Yep, we have renditions of things that we do quite often. So even with our podcasting, each year we'll decide, okay, which direction do I want to go in this year? So that comes with the Facebook group too.
Yeah, and I think an interesting point on that is, I made so that Facebook group is 2019, so 5 years old.
Oh,
And when I started it, it was started for the podcast. And I made the mistake that most business owners make when they start a new adventure and they start selling their products and services. I reached out to all my friends and family and I was like, I got this new thing going on. You should support me on it. Well, support is different than purchase, right? So you have a Facebook group full of people who no doubt support you because they love you, but they are not necessarily a group of people who are going to really dig in and be engaged and be intentional. So then when I started shifting that, I got engaged and intentional people in the group, but they were mixed in. So the Facebook group is this hodgepodge of people from all different areas. And so that's why I say I'm at a crossroads. Excuse me, because I think that the answer might be that I'm not the same person that started that group. And I've attracted people in that group that don't resonate with my message because I've stepped into who I am now. And it's time to maybe just start fresh. So I know that's probably more information than you needed, but I think it is valuable for people to hear that
yeah,
sometimes we evolve and we get to make decisions on what parts of our business evolve with us.
absolutely, Amber. Every day we're a different person.
Yes.
Every day. That's good. It's been quite enlightening, Amber. I really appreciate you being on the show today.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And okay, no more dog. I was going to share some more dog stories. We won't do any more dog stories for you folks out there. We'll make that a whole nother podcast to do that.
It
Amber,
could be.
yeah, there you go. Have a great day out there, Amber.
Thanks. You too.